this is going to be very important because Dunijin is probably strong enough to outlive one of the members of Wolves. You need that extra placement to try and make this top 4 a little easier.
Look at Bintum at the top. That 4-win streak has now become 9. We're out of stage 5 almost. One more fight left. And Bintum once again is rising up to become the hero for this team when he's needed most. When we're in a game 1 that sets this.
Good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, wherever you are in the world right now. It is the final hour of the Esports World Cup Central broadcast, but it is finally time to introduce Fortnite. The semi-finals are commencing momentarily. You can watch that stream, EWC White. We're going to be diving into Exceed taking on Carmine Core in just a moment. Street Fighter 6, the second half of the second group phase, is continuing over at Fighters. And of course on EWC Gold, it is the final moments of the Teamfight Tactics Grand Final here at the Esports World Cup. My name is still Quickshot. I have an empty sofa as I've kicked Initialize off. He doesn't belong here for the next game because Blakey Boy does. And we are joined by a very special guest. It is Bloomy from R8 Esports. He was just eliminated in the quarterfinals, but I will tell you this, you made heroic work for that one, and it must have been a heartbreaking defeat because it looked so close for that entire series. First of all, how are you feeling? And could you tell our viewers and fans exactly where you are, where you're from, and what you're doing here?
Well, yeah, like I've just been introduced, I'm Bloomy. I play for R8 Esports, and yeah, we did, well, like you just mentioned, we did unfortunately get knocked out yesterday and placed top 8. But yeah, I'm from London, and I love this game mode.
Bloomy, tell me a little bit more about specifically the top 8. I think it is fair to say that it was probably the biggest surprise of the quarterfinals. I think a lot of the organizations and clubs that were there were somewhat expected. You guys making it through, the fact Fnatic didn't make it in is what I think people were anticipating. You got to be proud about that.
Yeah, no, I'm very happy. I sort of said if we made it out of groups, I would be happy. If we made it around after groups, I'd be very, very happy. But yeah, like the main goal was to make it out of groups, and that's what we did. You know, a lot of people overlooked us, didn't expect us to even qualify for Saudi in the first place.
Yeah.
So
I'll say this as well. It's one of those situations where with the game mode, with a limited experience, we can see the bracket on screen for everybody.
Yep.
We actually had the pleasure of watching some of those opening games. The fact that you guys won that opening, the opening game against Heroic,
yeah.
we were over the moon here.
Yeah.
We were over the moon. It was super close just in the quarterfinal. And also I'll tell you this, it brings me joy watching that sly smile, because you are happy about that. You are happy that you got to throw some pie in the face of, let's say, people who may have underrated your abilities. Where was R8 on your top 8?
Because they weren't in the top 8, but like, they weren't in a lot of people's top 8. So you guys were the underdogs, and you should be proud of that.
Well, yeah, I much prefer being the underdogs.
Yeah.
Because I like proving people wrong, and also it like takes a bit of the pressure off. But yeah, no, it feels good. There's a lot of doubters to prove everyone wrong.
Yeah.
But like I got a lot of love as well. Like it's not that people were like hating on me.
No.
They just didn't
It's one
expect
of these
us
things.
to be there.
It's one of these where people didn't anticipate you to make top 8. And what you're seeing at home, as well as everybody here in the studio, we are watching Exceed taking to the stage, to the arena right now. They have their keyframe in hand. We will be seeing Carmine Core stepping on the stage in just a minute. Before we talk about the game, I'm going to be asking Blake, obviously, to lead most of the conversation in game. I'm running the interview because that's where my skill set lies. I'm not that familiar with Fortnite. Before we talk about the game, the keyframe, handing that over after being eliminated, tell me what that's like as a competitor.
Well, I wasn't actually the one handing it over, it was my teammate.
It's still, it's a piece of your soul, man. Come
on. I know, but I like literally the first time I saw it handed over, I think it was Fnatic the first team to get like knocked out?
That they were, yes.
I think they were, and then I was like, oh, it just sucks. Like if you've just been knocked out and then you sort of have like all your teammates go backstage and they get to sort of, you have to stand there and wait and then hand over your key.
Bloomy, you're a very eloquent gentleman. So I want to ask, like, can you talk me through the process? Like, how did you learn about the key? At what time frame? When did you become attached to the key? And the reason I asked that, this is my 6th week here. I've had the pleasure of interviewing many players from many games. And the general sentiment is the same. It represents your tournament life, so there is a connection. The strength of that connection changes. we on the broadcast, we get to watch videos and learn about the process. And as broadcasters, we could go, pick the guys that you hate, you know, boo, get the flame.
It's great watching the keys get crushed.
Like, as a broadcaster, but, like, when did you learn about it and how attached did you get to it?
I mean, I think it's a really cool concept. But like, it's almost like I feel like you're almost losing twice. Like you have the loss, then you got to stand and wait, and then it's like, this is a representation of us losing.
Yeah.
But
you're forced to accept the reality right then and there.
Yeah, I know, and like as it's one person doing it, like thankfully it wasn't me having to do it, but
we've had a couple of moments. I've mentioned this story to this week's broadcast crew, but there was a Counter-Strike team from Mongolia, and the Mongols knocked another team out. And when the key was presented to them, the captain who received it was legitimately like, I don't want you to. And when the key was being crushed, they felt the pain. They didn't want to do it. And then on the flip side, we have certain fighting game characters that basically use like the dark side of the force and like, you know, pretend they're crushing it.
Well, especially if it's like a rival or something. I think it'd be nice.
Oh, yes. Okay.
That's why I'm excited for the finals. Whenever Xset and Exceed both make it through.
Xset and Exceed. Okay,
I'm excited to see all that beef from Dallas go down and giving the key over.
Bloomy, we're jumping straight into the finals now.
Oh, lovely.
Just before we break down the actual action, it's NA versus EU on each side of the brackets. Xset and Exceed are, let's say, the favorites to win each series. This one arguably closer than the other one. How favored are the North Americans over the Europeans? I mean, look, you're not even European anymore anyway.
Just from my experience of playing both teams, like, I would say the seeding plays a big aspect here.
Okay.
Because if you're the highest seeded team, you get to choose both sides of hardpoint.
Okay.
Which puts you in advantage. And like the CTF, it doesn't really matter.
Okay.
Like, I guess you might have a preferred side, but like CTF, you play both.
It has less of an impact.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, like, I think that comes into play here, and I think Exceed, like, I would say 70-30 Exceed KC.
And I do want to add, having that advantage, being able to pick your side on hardpoint on Shallot, its red side is like almost a guaranteed win. We've seen like 100% win rate at EWC this year.
I mean, it is overlooked. The other hardpoint is overlooked a little bit. Because I think there's quite a big advantage in the other one as well when you get to play your stronger side. But yeah, but I mean, but again, the score's a lot closer in that one. But
I love, by the way, as a young American man, Shallot. It's a chalet.
Chalet?
Chalet.
Yeah, chalet.
Okay.
That's it. You're on our side of the world now, okay?
Yep.
Yeah. Get with the lingo.
Yes, exactly. Okay, let's take a look at this really quickly. Common Core already off to a couple of frags being secured there. Peterbot, obviously one of the most respected players in Fortnite.
One of the biggest trash talkers.
Oh, really?
But I did note in his interview after qualifying for the semis, he was way more laid back, calm, cool, and collected. And I was at McDonald's after, and I ran into him, and I was like, Peterbot, bro, that was not you on that stage in that interview.
So what did you say?
I was like, you need to be more confident tomorrow whenever you qualify for Grand. You need to be more confident and show the real Peterbot. And he was like, I just don't want to get fined again. And I was like, you don't need to talk to the point where you're going to get fined.
You
to
don't
sound confident and excited.
Trash talk the opponents, you know.
I love that so
a bit
much.
of friendly trash talk is like in our last game of our groups. Like there was a lot of we're good friends of the other team. And like there was loads of friendly trash talk. Like behind the stage, we were waving each other, telling each other not to get nervous. You know, doing different emotes and poses at each other, and that just, that made it a bit more fun.
Just antagonizing one another. We actually got to see the end of the Xset versus Gaming Gladiators set. They captured the flag, where they got up to 5-1, took the flag right up to the point, were about to cap, and just stood there.
Made him sit through that last minute.
Okay, gentlemen, I'll say this now. I think we've had a good sort of intro to this one. I think it's fair to say, even as an active competitor, Exceed are somewhat favored here. Xset are, I think, significantly the other. But maybe Bloomy, from these first few minutes of gameplay, what are we seeing? From my eyes, it's a little bit of a slower start than what I had.
there's a lot of trading going on. But like this map, I think you play the statue control, which is like in the top of middle there.
The Panther.
Panther.
The statue of the Panther. You play for control of that area, but then you also like the lane on the opposite side. Like we call it coffee.
Okay.
That's like where people sort of lurk up. So you want to have control of statue, but you also need someone being aware of that lane on the opposite side.
Bloomy,
So,
can I
yeah.
ask, are you able to give us a bit of a picture? Because like I haven't seen a significant amount of pressure applied to actually cap the flag. In case
Yeah.
anyone's unaware, we are playing
Yeah.
Capture the Flag for viewers at home.
Yeah.
That map code is up in the top right. But like, it's almost felt to me like this is quite a defensive, controlling open. Is somebody going for a one-cap win in the last 60 seconds?
I think so. And Carmine Corp play pretty slow. They play for to go 1-0 up, and then they just sit. You know?
I do want to add in game 1 of XSET's matches yesterday, it was 1-0 going into or did they go to overtime? Yeah. Oh, no, yeah, it was 1-1 going into overtime, and XSET won because they captured the first flag. No one's going to overtime. It was a very slow game.
Yeah, that's what KC did against us. Like, we were 1-1, went overtime on this map, and then they just, like, for the full 5 minutes, just set up defensive.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, like, you play for middle control, and then if you wipe them after you have middle control, you've almost got a guaranteed flag pull. So that's why it's like this CTF is a bit slower pace than the other one, because it's like you play for middle control, you fight for middle, you hold middle, and you wipe them again, you pull the flag. So like once the opposite team has the middle control, that's why you're seeing a lot of people sit back, you know, because they just know if they die, they lose the flag.
And I'll say this as well, for any other viewers that are watching that maybe have got some experience, let's say Call of Duty, let's say you're even older like me and you played Unreal Tournament, this type of zone control, lane control, I think is heavily dictated by the map, by the corners that you can cover, also the entrance points and then the spawn dynamics. So if you are able to, like right now you can see KC, this is the first time that they've aggressively grouped up and pushed forward in what has felt like literally the entire 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to have a 0-0
But then again, look,
first
they're playing just defensively and they clean up.
But I do want to add that this map was made originally for Hardpoint, and the other map was made for Capture the Flag, and then they just put the other 2 game modes on the map.
Interesting.
So that's why it's like plays out a lot more different than the original maps that they were made for.
The thing is, I love that though, because again, I come from a Call of Duty background. Bloomy, I played Call of Duty 4 on PC many years ago. My production team must be sick of hearing it. Every day for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
But
2008, bro.
in those games, that was my first international. I was playing for 3 years before that. That's how old
3.
I am. But I think depending on like when you go to different maps, you play different game modes. Like if I think of City Streets, District, Strike, those are the maps that you play in COD 4. And then the different gamers, they completely change the flow because of the objective you have to play around, right?
Yeah.
So when you see this opening round from Carmine Corp playing it slow and steady, being unable to break through, let's say the defensive barrier of Exceed, I don't understand the map pressure enough. Who would have been, let's say, across the halfway line? Was it KC pushing a little bit more, or?
Definitely KC.
That's what I thought.
They had Panther control pretty much that. They were like almost pushed into their spawn, but they just couldn't get that one pick to break.
Yeah,
through.
definitely. And I think it's also the way the sides work. I think red side's a little bit stronger because when on that blue side, like when you die on middle, you tend to spawn like on the opposite side of the flag, so like by the Lamborghini area.
Right.
So you almost have to wrap round all the way back to spawn to defend. So that's why, like, well, in the first half, you saw KC being a bit more aggressive, and I think on this side, you'll see Exceed being a bit more aggressive.
So what happens now? This round goes 0-0. How many times or how many rounds do you play before a winner is decided?
Well, the first tiebreaker is whoever captured the first flag, and then the second tiebreaker after that is eliminations.
Right.
So if it goes 0-0, overtime 0-0, then it's purely eliminations.
So how do I know how many eliminations have happened for the team?
You kind of don't from a viewer's perspective.
Thanks,
but,
Epic.
But it's also kind of rare for that to happen because normally someone will capture a
Listen,
flag.
it's happening this game.
Yeah.
Someone
I mean,
will capture
I'm not
one
being
overtime.
funny. This is the single slowest. To all of our viewers out there who are hoping for an action-packed, third-person shooter extravaganza, this is the most tactical approach.
Yeah, I'm
This
not gonna
feels-
lie, I haven't really seen this approach.
This
They're
feels like
literally just sitting there.
XCOM. Have you guys played XCOM? This feels like children.
This is
We're not all 40, all right?
The decision making is wild to me. I mean, we can even see the coaches. They're just standing behind Exceed.
yeah.
Shout out Jaith.
Wow. Okay, explain this to me. Like, what do you think is happening here, Blake?
Yeah, so it looks like Exceed right now is trying to push up finally. I think they got 2 picks. All 3 of them are pushing up, actually. So this is going to be the first kind of, look for the pull on the flag that we're going to see. Swizzy and Murstache are both 1 HP. Like, that's Murstache. But we're in a good position to push right here if you're Exceed.
I'm trying to count the elims to see if we can play that game. So Moustache is on 4 at the minute. Just to see a rough idea if we can make an informed guess of who's currently leading. Because in 2.5 minutes this is over, but at least this time around, Are KC continually pushing again? It looks like they're at least stepping
well, like
towards.
they're doing the statue control and trying to play for the Milk. Like Milks did a good job there. He's just got to delay and wait for his teammates to respawn who died and come back and help defend.
Okay, so that's Okus on 3G.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of the slowest games.
Yeah.
I've ever
Yeah.
watched, which is crazy, and they're probably feeling the pressure, knowing that they need to win these maps to make it to these finals.
It's interesting because it is something that actually happens in almost every title, that when you get down to those final sets, those final series to be played, it tends to be slower, it tends to be more calculated. I just didn't expect it in a game like this, and I actually think if you listen closely, we can actually hear the in-game commentary. The players talking.
One kid. I'm going there. 1 HP.
I got sight. They're coming sight. Did I kill one?
Nice. I'm going there.
One
I'm going there.
speed. One speed.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we've obviously just
Oh,
dropped out
Ronnie got the
there.
flag.
Yeah.
Okay, so Bloomy, I mean, that didn't
Yeah.
sound like panicky comms. It
No.
sounded like that was like expected game plan.
Yeah. So, well, like I said, I think red side's a bit better.
Yes.
Because they got a couple of kills on KC, and then they spawned on the opposite side of where the flag is.
Okay, so
I also want to
go for it.
add that like it's pretty controlled. It's not like they're pretty calm only because.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Wow, that was
he's
sick.
not going to get the
Yeah.
cap.
Well, I think his teammate, he gets up.
Wow.
Okay, so question about this then. Finish your point, Blake, and then I want to ask about the strategy.
Yeah, I think that the comms are very. Oh, Peterbot got the flag, but they also have the. They're gonna.
Ooh,
Peterbot's gonna get the cap.
There we
Exceed's
are.
The first
Exceed.
cap of the game with 45 seconds left. But I wanted to say that the comms are very calm because it's very controlled. Like, there's no reason to be panicking right now.
Yep.
It's not like they're down.
And that's what leads me to think that if Carmen are a slow team, that's exactly what Bloomy was saying, kind of anticipate it. Let's assume Exceed know that. Exceed play for it. If they know that the red side is favored, the strategy may have been go neutral when we're on blue, right? Just play defensive. When we're on red, you get one cap, and that's how you win the map. Like, look, I might be projecting a lot of very positive thoughts, but it does look pretty clearly like that's what the plan was.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that was a very clean flag take by them. They just waited for the team wipe. They spawned far away. They go for a flag.
All right, so
Gonna
just
take map
quick
one.
update, by the way. You saw on the bottom of your screen that Kawano has picked up that series win over in Street Fighter 6. We will give you updates on those results as they come in. And on one hand, I think you have to applaud and respect what XC just did.
Yeah.
On the other hand, give me more bloodshed.
I know, from a viewer's perspective,
Yes.
that was,
That
I'll be
was-
honest, pretty boring to watch. But that's why we got Hardpoint next, a fast-paced game.
Now, Bloomy, do you think my assessment of that strategy from Exceed, like, do you reckon that was the
no,
game
I
plan?
agree. I agree.
How
definitely agree.
hard is it to do that? Like, let's say you were in that game playing against Carmen Core. You went in with the same strategy. Would it have been as doable? I know you're going to say maybe. but
Yeah.
give me a scale. How difficult is it?
I don't think it's a matter of being difficult. I think it's just like you just have your own set play style, you know?
Yes.
If you've prepared and you play more defensive, then you'll be better at being defensive. I mean, being defensive, like, you have to make sure you're not giving away free damage and peeking certain angles, so you sort of learn to play that way.
Yeah. The thing is, for Exceed, though, while that's true, especially when they're on the blue side, the moment they swapped to red, they had a cap, they lost the flag carrier, they picked it back up, and they still got the points. So they demonstrated 9.5 minutes of near flawless defense, and then 30 to 40 seconds of flawless offense.
Yeah, we saw a lot of times where they were literally just sitting behind an angle, AFK, not even doing anything.
Yeah, I mean, that's not entirely true. They're cutting, it's called cutting the pie when you're looking
Cutting
at
the pie.
angles of things. It's the SWAT terminology for entering a doorway and clearing angles from right to left. And that's what you're seeing here. That third-person perspective, by the way, something they talk about in PUBG a lot. The amount of additional information you gain because you're not looking down the scopes of a weapon. Used to their advantage. So what does this tell us for the next game mode then? What does KC have to do to bounce back here, Blake?
They're going to have to take this next map because I feel like if Exceed gets up 2-0, they're not going to throw this lead and they're going to make it to the finals, knocking out Carmine Corp.
I mean, listen, you called that already.
I did, but I kind of want to see like a Game 7. We haven't seen that yet.
I don't know if you're going to get one.
I don't think so.
Yeah. There's a bitterness in that answer, Bloomy. Why do you think it's not going to happen? Either of the 3 series.
Well, Exceed. What do we know what the map 7 is in this?
Panther, apparently. Wait.
Map 7, I'm pretty
Map
sure is
2 's
random.
Panther?
Okay,
We'll
the
find
map
out
7 is
map
Panther.
7.
Okay. Well, Exceed are 1-0 up.
Game mode 7 is a randomized game mode in map. So
Yeah, but do we know what it is yet?
no, I don't think it's decided.
It is decided. It is decided
Oh,
before
is
the
it?
game.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if I.
Oh,
have that
okay,
on
we've
here,
not.
but-
Okay.
What we'll do is we'll ask our production team to try and find it. I can't guarantee that we will. If we are able to know what it will be, map 7, assuming we get to one.
Yeah.
But now let's go, regardless of what it is, right?
Yeah.
You've got Common Core Exceed. On the other side, Heroic Xset. I doubt Heroic are taking Xset to 7.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
0% chance.
Xset Exceed. We give that a final. Do we get game 7?
I don't think so. Except,
Wow.
like, the seeding is so has such a massive impact on how these games played, because the higher seeded team, like, they pick both hard points. They pick the side for both hard points.
That seems so busted.
I know.
I mean, and look, and again, we had Counter-Strike there just
Yeah.
earlier on. Like, when you pick, if one team gets to pick the map, the other team gets to pick the side.
Yeah.
If you want to attack or defend first, it makes a big
Is
difference.
Xset higher seeded than an Exceed?
So Xset going into this tournament were like seed number
9. They were number.
They were
9.
number 9, right? But they were in a group with seed number 1, Falcons. But they beat them in groups, so then that means they take the number 1 seed spot.
Well, I'm happy to tell you, map 7 is Capture the Flag on Panther.
Is Capture the
Oh,
Flag
yes.
on Panther? Okay,
So,
that,
yay,
that's,
map
yeah.
7 with Exceeding Combine
Yeah.
Core.
It's not gonna get to that.
So,
Fuck no.
yeah. So if it gets to map 7, Casey have a chance. But I don't think it's getting map 7. Exceed basically, in my opinion, have a guaranteed win on Chalet Hardpoint, because they will, well, I don't know, but
It should be Team
I
Red.
know. They've picked red side, so that's a guaranteed win. So, yeah, they only have to get to 3 before that.
Okay, well, on the bright side, there's guaranteed to be more action this time around.
Way more.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I'm excited
Because of the
about
hard
this game.
points. What is the strategy that you think works best when approaching a hard point game? Bloomy?
The thing is, I think it comes down to just your strat countering the other team's strategy. There's like, there's each team can counter each team. So it's like, against different teams, we have different strategies. So if we
Give
know...
me an example of one that you think is pretty common. That
The most
you're
common
comfortable
one is
sharing.
you sort of send 2 people up to the Panther statue. One person, you see where Milks is right
Yes.
here? Like, you send 1 person in that area, 2 people by statue, then 1 person in the middle. That's sort of like the default. Sometimes you have like 3 statue, or 2 will push site straight away and try and, like, for example, where Milks is right now, if there's a solo there, the best strategy is to send 2 people, bubble,
take
and
him
you,
out.
yeah, exactly. But the thing is, that's not a good play if they send 2 people there.
Right.
So,
I totally get that. And I
Yeah.
think the main thing I want to like try to get an understanding of is you're talking about assignments, you're talking about lane and zones being under control,
Yeah.
and then reacting to placements
Exactly,
of the enemy.
exactly,
teams, right?
exactly.
Blake, when you hear that, how drastically different is that to obviously BR? I know that's like a core primary game, but I think one of the first things Bloomy said when we sat down is like, I love these game modes.
Yeah, no, these game modes are definitely a lot different from BR. And like looking at these types of strategies, obviously you have strategies like these in BR. Like if you're playing duos and you want to push a duo, you try to single one out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's pretty much the same thing, just obviously in way different terms and different utility and stuff. Because obviously we don't have shield bubbles in the normal game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also think the angle control is significantly different because this is way close combat. I think the urgency of your gunfights, I mean, this is basically like a final circle tower gunfight, every single gunfight in terms of the information you got to deal with.
Yeah, and I think these maps were like specifically made for these angles to be so good for these close gunfights, outplaying your opponent with the like mantle ability. If you know what that is.
I will pretend that I do. Exceed right now, 82 points off the first 2 hard points. The Carmine Core's got early control, but if they don't hold on to it for a while, Exceed, if they turn this over, they can really take a significant advantage.
100%, but it looks like Carmine Corp has this one down. They take out Peterbot. It's looking pretty good right now for both teams, honestly. Like they're gonna like probably tie this up on this point.
Yeah, this is the most this point is hard, like it's hard favored for red side, which is what KC are right now. So yeah, I mean, it looks like they're going to even it out, and then the next one's a bit more like tradey 50-50, and the one after that is a heavy blue side. So you see them even out.
So Carmine Core
even out
really
again.
needs to get a good score lead on the next point.
Yeah.
And I think, just again, so I'm making an assumption, because the hard points follow a set routine, based on your team's spawn area, it'll give you an advantage on certain points of the
Exactly. Yeah.
Like blue team has a certain advantage on point
Sorry
number
to
5.
interrupt. We actually got another listen in, so let's just hear what the players are saying so we can use it as content.
They're pushing backside, they're pushing backside.
IMP?
I'm coming to you. I'm dead. Two palm on me.
Face it. Nice.
One is me.
Nice.
One more.
You alone.
Third white.
Nice.
Let's go.
Can you capture? He's close.
He's fighting me. Cracked him. 30 white. On point.
I bubble.
Okay,
Come.
110.
What a
I
shot.
got TMP.
I
I just sniped. That is
Three. Nice side.
Three side.
One more on point.
Okay, just wait.
It's sniper.
Yeah,
That's a
it's
great
looking very
example.
tradey right now.
Fantastic. I love hearing the in-team commentary, in-team communication. But I really like it's a great example of what you were just saying, Bloomy. Calling the numbers, talking about the point, talking about whether they're cracked or not cracked. You know, which will inform you whether you should be pushing or falling back.
Yeah. So yeah, the usual thing is like you try and work out where a solo is. So like, I mean, you can't really see it here, but they have there's visual footsteps, so you can see the footsteps without hearing them as well. You can hear them, but you play off the visuals. You don't play off the sound. So if you see like one footstep on the right, one footstep on the left, and there's two of you, you just jump in his face, 2v1, and you win it every single time.
Yeah. You always want to be trading. And in other tactical shoots, a similar thing. You either get the opening frag and it's 2v0, or if you trade 1-for-1, you still come out in the advantage.
Yeah, and this is the point that's hard favored for blue side.
Yeah,
That's why they already have it right now. But it looks like Carmine
Yeah,
Corp's
take
gonna
it.
get a
This is
team
good.
wipe right now.
That's a quick flip.
This is a very close game. It's tied up right now, 120 to 120. But I would like to see Exceed take this one back.
4 minutes still to go. So what happens now in terms of the rest is this? The total points was 250, right?
Yeah,
First
first to 250.
Yeah.
And you just keep cycling through the 5 points to either 250 or the time limits.
The time limit.
Has the
never
time limit
happens.
ever
Never.
ran out for you?
No.
Yeah, that never happens. Because like, look, we're so far into the game and we've only taken 54 seconds off of the clock.
Right, I get you. Okay, because as long as someone's sitting on a point, the time is not running down.
Yeah, the only time the timer is ticking is if no one's on the point.
I've not watched closely enough to actually keep tabs of how that time. I actually wondered to myself, I'm like, has it really just been like 1 minute a game? No, no, that's just like the countdown timer for forcing players to do things, right?
Yeah, but that was a big point for Carmine Corp because now it's back to the middle point. This is a neutral hard point.
Yeah.
Malibu is flanking right now. He's the marksman with the sniper rifle like we broke down the other day. Looks like Carmine Corp is gonna take this. He's fighting the burst.
Oh, the burst!
And that's what the engineer is so good for. The burst SMG. It just fries.
Why don't you just call it a shotgun? That's what it plays like. That's what it looks like.
It basically is. That's like the closest thing we have in this game to a shotgun. Unless you want to just go around no scoping with the sniper.
Okay, strengths of each team on the different game modes. I'm not certain how much longer we'll be watching, but Bloomy, if you were to think of Exceed between between keeper, hardpoint, and capture the flag, what do you reckon the teams are best at?
Exceed were a lot better at playing aggressive. They've got like very high-skilled pop-off players, and I think they thrive under high-pressure situations. So, and I think KC are a bit more prepared and a bit more strategic, but I mean, if Exceed are flying in and hitting their shots, then I think hardpoints, I would have said hardpoint Exceed were going to thrive, but
I would say hardpoint as well because Okus on Team Exceed came from a Call of Duty background. He used to be my teammate. Everyone used to accuse him of cheating because his aim is just that good.
I love that.
He had cheating allegations for years.
Yep.
And obviously he's still here. This many years later, he's obviously not.
It's one of the biggest compliments that you can give to a competitive shooter player.
Yeah, and I also want to point out Okus is probably, I'm not sure the exact stat, but I think he's one of the only controller players playing.
Oh wow, interesting.
yeah, there's Okus, Teeny,
TK, who was on Big Toss, but he's knocked out.
Bloomy,
Yeah,
do you know how strong is the aim assist in Fortnite? Because it's a huge conversation in Apex as well as Call of Duty.
It is very strong in regular Fortnite.
Okay.
But the thing is with controller, I mean, it doesn't seem to really affect Okus that much, but Teeny, I think it did. Is when you're close range and you jump over, because their sensitivity is a lot slower. Like if you jump over sort of a controller player close range, which happens in a lot of these fights, I feel they're at a disadvantage.
Okay.
It's quite hard to like track someone
And
with controller.
is the aim assist strength the same in these game modes as it is in BR?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is,
That's important.
But like the mid-range and stuff, I think controller's a bit stronger.
Got it.
But then again, the mid-range fights, I don't think are as important as the close-range fights.
Yeah,
so.
I get that. I mean, like, just for some context, in Apex, around a third to half of the players use controller. In Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, that was here for Resurgency, and then we'll be back next week as well. Around 80 to 85% use controller. And of the top ranked players worldwide in the rank ladders, the highest accuracy in both games is a significant percentage higher for controllers than the
Wow.
keyboard.
Yeah.
Yep.
In
It is
Fortnite,
a
it's
big
around like,
difference.
I'm pretty sure like around 40% for like a normal finals
Right.
in Fortnite. So it's like, it's pretty 50-50.
Right.
Yeah.
Close
But
to it. Oh man,
it's like-
again, this score's close. Comment
Yeah, it's
call are
very
very close
close.
to 250.
Wow.
It looks like they're gonna bounce the series, but I think to be fair, like you did say, this was gonna be the closest semifinal.
Yeah, 100%. And if Exceed gets a lot of points on this, and then they go to hard point number 5, which is favored for their team,
Yeah.
they should be able to close this one out. But it looks like Carmine Corp
Can they do it now?
Peterbot takes down 2.
40 seconds on the clock. They've still got the point though. That's the main thing.
15 seconds.
Waiting to tick over 34,
Exceed-
35.
Exceed have
Keep
to
in
take
mind, Exceed played the capture the flag so slowly that they might still be like kind of warming up to this game mode because Karmako have been hitting it hard from the beginning, but they have been flipped.
Wow.
The point's been flipped. It's blue, it's Exceed.
They have
Yeah,
25
yeah,
seconds
yeah.
left on the point. They could win it off of this exactly if they play every single second. But obviously that's going to be hard if they get contested.
Yeah,
17.
And Casey.
They're
Tied up now. It's a
Okay.
15-point game.
Nice. That's a bit.
See, Meox with the double kill.
Okay, Casey officially can't win, so.
B&B,
Exceed-
B&B,
Yeah.
shoutcast the last point. Come on, get back in
bread and
together.
butter. It looks like Exceed's going to take this. They
Yeah,
need 2
they get
points.
the- they get
They're
the
already on the next. They go AFK.
Let's go.
Exceed takes a 2-0 lead in the semifinals against Carmine Corp. You lost my train of
Got their
thought.
team,
Hey, they're about to be off the bracket in a second, so I already forgot.
The entire day, all that Blake has done is throw shade at the European teams. All he has done is say how much they suck, how the European teams can't measure up, the European teams are not good enough. I mean, I'm embellishing a little bit.
He's over-exaggerating a little bit. In Battle Royale, you
Like-
guys can hang.
Blake,
Can
you literally said, I'm wearing black today because it's Europe's funeral.
That is not what I said. That's what he said about NA. He said me and Steve, the other guy on the couch, we're both wearing black because we're here for the funeral of NA. But really,
I mean,
Bloomy, I'm going to say thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks
just
for
one
having
last
me.
thing that I like to say. We do this with every interview with every guest we had this week. We got this very exclusive piece of merch just from us here. We're going to do a giveaway with every guest that's been on the show, all of the talent team. Before you leave, I'll ask you to sign this.
Yep.
But what could I do? If I could ask you one last thing, give me a final score prediction of what Exceed Xset's going to be in the final, and also say goodbye to the fans, the viewers. Give a shout out to your org to game number 1.
yeah, so my prediction for the finals, well, I think it will be Exceed versus Xset, and I think it will be 4-1 to Xset.
Fantastic. Give a shout out to the viewers as well.
Shout out to all the viewers and shout out to all the R8 fans if any of you are watching, because you guys helped us a lot. We had a lot of love in the crowd when I was playing. But yeah, I've enjoyed it. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for taking the time. It is a pretty challenging task to sit here and break down the whole game. It's been a pleasure to have you join Blake and myself. Sit for me for 1 second. We're going to be right back to wrap up today's episode of EWC Central. Just before we do, though, let's check in with what's happening in the Kiddie Arena in Street Fighter 6.
I'm putting my hands up for him. You can't see us. We can. No, we can't see you either.
Damn, that took mad damage. And we in the corner already with the guineos, the bananas. That might be plátanos. I love plátanos.
Yeah. Fried, tad bit of sugar.
All of them. Every version. Yeah.